Conference of the strange, and your family is deranged.
That brings me to the limited editions that you've been releasing over the years, particularly starting with your solo album. Was a beautiful book that came out with that. So too with The Incident. How important is that for you to have those limited editions released alongside the regular album?
Well, I think, as you know, I'm not a big fan of download culture, and although the whole thing about the iPods was kind of funny, you know, it had a serious subtext, which was basically trying to get people to think about how music is presented now and how things have changed since I fell in love with music. I mean, I fell in love with music right at the very end of the vinyl era. I was just young enough, I was born late enough just to kind of experience vinyl, just as it's sort of passing into CD. So the first records I was buying when I was a kid were still in, 12 by 12 gatefold sleeves with lyric sheets and inner bags, and there was something incredibly romantic and incredibly tactile about buying a record, even taking it out of the sleeve and putting it on the... And I know I'm old-fashioned in thinking that way, but at the same time I think I was also more fortunate than the current generation, for whom music has become little more than software. Some content they call it now. They don't even call it music. ISPs and iTunes and people like that refer to music as content. What an ugly concept. Music is not content. Music is art. Music is something spiritual, emotional. If you call it content, then you have no understanding of why music is special. So I think the special packaging was almost a way of trying to get back to this idea of, if you consider music to be art, then you should present it as art. If you want people to feel it's something that they want to invest their money in and cherish and treasure, then you have to present it in a form that they will want to treasure. It's a piece of art, and good music is art. I can't divorce classic albums like Sgt. Pepper or Dark Side of the Moon or Led Zeppelin 4. In my mind, I cannot divorce the music from the artwork, and I think that enriches the music and it makes me more passionate about the music and more emotionally involved in the music. And I think there's definitely now a kind of a need for musicians that really care about their art to get back to thinking about how they present it. Because at the end of the day, the crystal case CD is going to disappear. And to be fair, I'm not really bothered about it. I don't really care about it, because the crystal case CD was neither one thing nor the other, really. It didn't have that kind of romantic, tactile, artistic statement that the old vinyl gatefold sleeves had, and neither was it software. It was kind of somewhere in between. So I'm quite happy for that to disappear. But I think what that will do is put the onus back on musicians to... I mean, listen, I'm not suggesting that download culture is going to disappear, but I think there's definitely now a need for the two extremes, if you like, which is that you can make your music available as a cheap download, but for people who still care about packaging, I think the onus is on the musicians now to give them something really, really special. Something they'll be quite happy to pay $30, $40, $50 for, $100 for, No one thinks twice about spending thousands of dollars on a beautiful painting. Why should they complain about spending $100 on an incredibly packaged piece of art that someone spent a year of their life making? I spent a year of my life making this record. But it always makes me quite sad when people complain about the cost of... people complained about the cost of Insurgentes when it came out. It was £34. I was making nothing, I can tell you that. It was very expensive to make that. I thought it was beautiful. And people complained, And... I think they stopped complaining once they saw it. They thought, probably didn't imagine they were going to get something that quite like what they did actually get.
I think the silent majority overruled those guys, though, because it sold out pretty quickly.
It sold out very quickly, and as I say, I think when people saw it, I think they got it. I think it's when they were going online, they were saying that there's this book and you've got to pay this much money and it's expensive to ship, because they kind of just thought they were being ripped off. But when they actually saw it and appreciated the amount of time, effort and the inclination of the people that did it, I hope most people understood what I was trying to do with that. And so, certainly carrying it through the incident now, and I think we're going to do something similar now for the next. We're doing a DVD now of the show we filmed last year, and we're going to do a similar package. A collection of, you know, artworks for me. Whether you like the music or not, you have to appreciate there's something special with the art.
Tell us a bit about the way the incident was written specifically for vinyl.
Well, it's funny. It's one of those things. I think because of the era I grew up in, as I say, I first discovered music in the late '70s, and vinyl was still very much, well, it was the only format really. And ever since I started writing music, I have this tendency to think in terms of sides of vinyl. Even though I'm obviously now making music very much for a generation that, well, certainly through the 90s was all about CDs, and now it's about downloads, you know, so this whole concept of sides of vinyl is irrelevant. But I can't stop myself thinking in that way. And I think there's something about great classic albums that come from the vinyl era. There's something about the two sides, or four sides if it was a double album, that made people think about the way they sequenced albums, and you get this sense of creating 20-minute sequences of music. So you get a great track to start side one, and you get, you know, a track that ends side one, and the track that opens side two. And I think it's no coincidence that so many classic albums come from the vinyl era, and relatively few classic albums have come post, in my opinion. But I think most people's opinion. Most classic albums come from... There's something about that 20-minute time frame, and then you turn over the side and you create another 20-minute continuum. It must be something to do with the sort of average attention span of people. I mean, I'm a believer that I think the CDs kind of expanded the length of albums to the point where they were too long a lot of the time. 40 minutes seemed to be the perfect time to listen to a particular album, a particular kind of music. And the fact that it was split over two sides also seemed to help enhance the whole listening experience. So I still think in those terms. And even the incident was, I had this, even from the beginning, I knew exactly where side one was going to end and side two was going to open. And if you notice, side three opens with a recapitulation of the opening of side one, you know. So all those things are, you know, but it's just because I'm old and...